So tell me guys, which camp are you guys in? Are you guys in the camp that just isn't gonna play a 1000-Year Door remake on the Nintendo Switch because it's 30 FPS? Or are you in the camp that doesn't really care? You're really excited for Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door and that 30 FPS doesn't really bother you? Or are you disappointed but you're still gonna play it? In this video, we're gonna discuss on whether or not Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door at 30 FPS is a bad thing and just my overall thoughts on the discussion that's happening surrounding this game. And that discussion stems from the 60 FPS versus 30 FPS debate on Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door. The news that Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door runs at 30 FPS has recently hit us, and this has caused a lot of people to have a big discussion on whether or not this is a good or bad thing. I think there are a lot of different angles and discussions that can be had versus the 30 FPS and 60 FPS debate. On one side, you could say, well, it's the Nintendo Switch, it's a weaker platform. Who knows, maybe they couldn't get it at 60 FPS stable. You gotta remember that this isn't the same game as the one on the GameCube, because the GameCube version was 60 FPS. But on the other hand, there are games like Doom, which does have an unstable frame rate, but it's definitely probably more demanding than Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door, the remake version to be more specific. And then there's Witcher 3, and then there's Xenoblade Chronicles, and there's just a whole bunch of games that do run at a stable, well, mostly stable I should say, 30 FPS, so you would think that Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door is something that's not as big as an open world game like Xenoblade 3, or even games that run relatively well like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which do have frame rate problems, but it is an open world game and there's a lot of things going on. Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door is an open world game, so getting to that 60 FPS you would think would be possible, but maybe it's not a stable 60 FPS. Again, we don't know the details of the development of Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door remake, so we can only guess. But the big question here is this a bad or good thing? Should Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door remake be 60 FPS and not 30 FPS? Well, again, I think it depends on who you are and what you want in the game. As someone who's looking forward to this game, I am disappointed that it's not going to be 60 FPS, but it's not going to make me not want to play the game. In my view, 60 FPS, especially for RPG games, it's different when it's a first-person game, or something that's extremely time-based like a Souls-like game. FPS, it needs to be a stable 30 FPS. That's what's really jarring to me, is unstable frame rate. That's why it's really difficult for me to play Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, because the frame rate back then, at least, I don't know how it is now because I haven't booted up the game in a while, was really jarring, and I just quit the game because I just couldn't play it anymore. It was too bothersome. But when it comes to Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door, as long as it's a consistent 30 FPS, it doesn't bother me, and it's not going to bother me. I know that because I've played games that are stable 30 FPS. So while I am disappointed, it's not going to stop me from playing the game, especially since I've been wanting this for so long. And the GameCube version still is out there. You can still play it, you can still emulate it. If you really want to dump the ROM and play it on Dolphin, you can still play it that way at 60 FPS and raise the resolution if you're on PC, or play it on the original GameCube hardware. The one thing I like about the situation is that it gives us some options. And who knows, maybe when the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, maybe we'll get a 60 FPS patch. If the reason behind Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door is because they couldn't get the game stable, then that means if DLSS is going to be used in the Nintendo Switch, which helps it raise the frame rate and resolution, maybe they can get it stable in the Nintendo Switch 2, and maybe we'll get a Nintendo Switch 2 patch for it. There are current rumors of the Nintendo Switch 2 being backwards compatible with the Nintendo Switch, so you never really know. And when it comes to this debate of 30 FPS versus 60 FPS, not just for Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door, one thing that I really found interesting while looking into this was that people do see frame rates at a different rate. So if you guys remember this, it was like a week or two ago, around the time that this debate popped up. It was more so on the side of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and then Paper Mario and the 1000-Year Door came in and kind of rustled people's feathers even more. But there was a study done on people seeing frame rates at different rates. You know how you go on Twitter and you see people say, well, I don't notice a difference, or people say, I notice a difference a lot. Some people say it makes them sick. It seems to be all over the place. A lot of people have different experiences, and there actually may be a reason behind this. Check out this article from IGN. According to the new study published in the journal PLOS ONE, some people see the world around us at a higher temporal resolution when compared to other humans. What's more, the researchers believe that the ability to form images per second could give these individuals an edge in competitive gaming and other high-speed activities. Now, of course, this is a fairly new study according to the article. According to an associate professor at Trinity College Dublin, quote, because we only have access to our subjective experience, we might naively expect that everyone else perceives the world in the same way we do. Examples like color blindness show that this isn't very true, but there are many less well-known ways that perception can vary too. This study characterizes one such differences in the frame rate of our visual system. Some people really do see the world faster than others. Now, during that study, the researchers asked a group of 88 volunteers to observe LED lights through a pair of goggles, and they manipulated those lights at different speeds. This test, according to the IGN article, is known as the critical flicker fusion threshold. So essentially, each flick would be one frame, and the more flicks that happen, the higher the frame will be. And eventually, people would have a threshold of what they can see and what they can't see. And apparently, they found that different people have different thresholds. Now again, this is a very small study. It's a group of 88 people. I just found that pretty interesting and something that you do have to keep in mind if this is true and people do more studies and more comes out about this, that people do see frame rates in different rates. And if people say, oh, I don't want to play Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door because of the frame rate, it can be understandable. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a video game and it's people's choice. It's their money. People who are going to buy it are still going to buy it, and people who are going to enjoy the game are going to enjoy it. And that person is going to be me. I've been waiting for this game for a very long time, and honestly, 30 FPS is not going to bother me because I don't really mind 30 FPS as long as it's stable, remember that, in an RPG like Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Can you discern the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS? I think the amount of people saying yes, no, or your thoughts on that or how it affects you would be pretty interesting to see. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.